Okay, YouTube, so today we got a 2015 GMC Sierra Carbon Edition. Going to be adding an amp and sub to this. I'm going to be doing an under-seat box under the rear seat. This is a non-amplified system from the factory. So we're going to be using the stock head unit, so I figured I'd make a quick video showing you guys, where to run the wire, where to find your signal, just some tips. So hopefully this helps you out. Okay, so one of the first things we're going to have to do is try to get power to the battery. So you're going to have to get through the firewall on this truck, and there's not very many places to go. The easiest place I've found is going to be right through this factory boot right here. This rubber boot. Hopefully you can see that. It's a little dark. What you're going to want to do is make a small incision in that boot. Just big enough for your wire to go through, so it'll close around it and seal it up pretty good. You can put some silicone around it once you go through. Now the problem you're going to run into is on the inside. There's a big distribution block right in the way, so you're not going to be able to get to the other side of that and get the wire through easily. So next I'll show you how to move that out of the way. Okay, so now we're under the dash, and you can see this big giant distribution block pretty much, well, blocks everything, so you can't get to that harness from this side. So you're going to want to move this out of the way, and the easiest way to do that is to remove the cover. There's just a couple clips that hold that on. Get that out of the way. Okay, next you're going to have to remove 3 10mm bolts. So there's one right there. Hopefully you can see all this. There's one right up here. And there's one down at the bottom, right there. Now that one up there in the corner is going to be a little hard to get to because you have this little harness in the way. What you want to do is remove this. So if you grab onto this little plug right here, you can actually pull this whole harness out of the way. And that gives you some access to get at that bolt. So go ahead and remove those. So I've got the bolts removed, and I kind of wiggled this out of the way a little bit. You're going to have to fight with it a little bit. You're not going to get much room. But you don't really need much. All you need to do is be able to reach your hand up inside here. Now you're not going to be able to really see what I'm reaching for, but you're going to reach up inside here. Maybe I can get the camera up in there. And you're going to try to find the other side of that grommet where it comes through the firewall. Right there. Okay, and if you can see this little rubber flap right here, it's kind of hanging out, you're going to want to remove that. So if you just grab onto that, kind of fighting with the light under here. Grab onto that rubber flap and you can pull it right out. Goes all the way around the wiring harness. See that? You can pull that right out. You throw that away. Don't even really know why it's in there, honestly. Okay, now you can actually reach your hand and feel the outside of that big grommet, that rubber, from outside the hood. So now all you need to do is make your little incision on the outside and slide your power. So what I'm going to do on this one, I think, is I'm actually just going to snip this little nipple off here, right at the end, and that should leave a nice hole to actually run my wire through, and it should seal pretty well right around that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And okay, so I'm probably not going to go over every single aspect of this install. I'm just going to kind of touch on the most important stuff. But I mounted my fuse holder right there to the firewall. You can mount it wherever you want. I'll go over connecting to the battery later, so you don't want anything connected to it right now. And I ran my power wire across the firewall. I put some loom on it to protect it. Makes it look a lot more factory too. And ran it right through that factory grommet right there, and it worked perfect. I put a little zip tie around that little nipple to seal out any moisture or water. That should be a perfectly watertight connection, so you shouldn't have any moisture issues. I ran the power wire inside the cab and ran it behind the fuse box. Comes out right here in the kick panel. Perfect. And I bolted the distribution block back to the firewall. And next is going to be a remote turn on. So we got the main battery power done. Next thing is going to be a way, you need some way to turn on the amplifier. So normally on an aftermarket head unit, you'd hook that to the remote output of the head unit. But where we're working with a factory head unit, there is no remote output. And if you're familiar with these trucks at all, any new GM, or a lot of makes actually, don't have a lot of 12-volt turn-ons. There's no power antenna wire out the back of the radio or anything like that. Everything's done through data now. So there's a data line that connects each device and tells it when to turn on and turn off. So you have to kind of dig around a little bit to find something that switches on and off. What I've found is right in this empty plug here. This is an accessory plug. There was nothing in here. On the left, the third pin down, so there's a big pin at the top, then a small pin, and the third pin down, it's a small pin. That will give you switch 12 volts accessory, not ignition, accessory, which is what you want because the radio comes on with accessory. It'll also retain retained accessory power, so when you shut the key off, it's going to remain on until a door is opened. One little difference between that and the radio is the radio will only shut down when the driver's side door opens. That wire, or that pin right there, will lose power when any door is opened, but that's pretty minor. So their amplifier will just shut off when any door is opened after the key turns off. So no big deal. I couldn't find really anything else that worked any better, so I'm going to shoot for that pin right there. So I went ahead and put a little female spade connector on this wire. It's like the small size. They make 3 different sizes really. This is the smallest of them. The heat shrink you don't have to do. That's just something I like to do. So, and this should plug right onto that pin. There you go, just like that. So then all you have to do is run that out of the fuse box and run it with your power wire. So now you can run that and your power wire to the back. I'm going to be putting the amplifier on the back wall of this truck, or you can put it under the seat, wherever you want. I mean, you can put the amplifier wherever you feel like. I'll go over where I'm putting it, but you feel free to, you know, if you want to tuck it under a seat, there's some room under each one. You can do that. In the center console, there's some room. There's a couple places you can put an amplifier in this. So now it's going to be on to the signal.